Hello and welcome to the FSF PopCast Live Edition. Hello and welcome, kids and cadets, to the FSF PopCast. This is our tea time, and we are talking about Spider-Man tonight. So, of course, Spider-Man had to make an appearance on the show. Very excited about that.
Spidey Ben.
Hi, hello.
Spidey Ben.
Yeah,
Spidey Ben.
Spidey Ben.
Does whatever Spidey Ben does.
can.
I mean, it gets confusing because I'm technically a clone, but I thought I wasn't a clone, and the other one was a clone, but actually that was the... We could go on this for hours. But anyway, hi, hello.
Hi, how are you? All right, so we are the show that gets asked to leave our masks on to avoid scaring the small children.
I should have gotten my bag. I could have grabbed my bag and put my bag over my
face
head.
isn't that bad.
That's
I know
why I
when
hide
I
it behind
shave,
this
I look
pop
like
filter.
a child, but... All right,
I hide it behind this pop
but
filter for a reason.
before we get into tonight's show, we need to say our thanks to our show partners, Level Up Sabers, TCTs, and Monkey Cult Coffee. It's really hard to read with this thing on.
There are so many show partners now. I'm so excited about this.
I know, right?
It's so great.
So our newest show partner and nerd merch supplier is TCTs. So TCTs, where fandom meets fashion. Star Wars, Marvel, Sasquatch, Doctor Who, Star Trek, yada, 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 thing, you guys know the world. Anyway, all available for you in a perfectly unique and nerdy design. Can I help you with something?
Yes, your cat needs
I
attention.
want a t-shirt.
Your cat wants nerd merch.
Yes, but you can remember to use code FSF15 at checkout. Seriously, Ernie, what is wrong with you?
Do they make shirts in like quintuple XS? That way it can fit on like a small cat or dog?
You know, I don't know, but they have kids merch, so I mean,
I don't know.
you probably get pretty
That would
close.
be great. I need to get one for my dog.
He needs a chunky cat size.
Cool.
Yes.
Hello. Thank you for the kiss.
All right, guys, this is also Monkey Cult Coffee. So Monkey Cult is your source for artisan and gourmet flavored coffees like toasted coconut rum. There is bourbon chocolate chip. And their newest flavor, which I have not tried yet and I am dying to try, is golden honey agave.
Ooh.
And I'm very excited to try that one because now I figure if you can make me like toasted coconut, which I'm not a big fan of coconut, and actually look forward to drinking it, you're doing something right. And then on top of that, their bourbon chocolate chip is just freaking outstanding. It's wonderful coffee. And they also have whole bean options in Sumatran and something else for you to be able to look at. I forgot what the other whole bean option is. But yeah, use code FSF10 at the checkout and ignore that Starbucks lady and go for the Monkey Cult. Join the cult.
Right. Go away from the sirens.
Starbucks
right.
isn't that good anyway.
Exactly.
I do have to get some of the new agave one in the whole bean because we got an espresso maker. And
Whoa.
that'd be so nice.
There
Anyway,
you go.
more nerd stuff. Level Up Sabers. The only saber guaranteed better than a stick with a whole bunch of... Oh, God. It is really hard to read with these. And I'm not wearing my glasses underneath. I do have smaller glasses. I didn't put them on for some reason. Okay. They have a whole bunch of screen-accurate sabers along with custom sabers. Really strong, really durable. I have personally strength tested a lot of these without meaning to, if you catch my drift. But be sure to find your perfect youngling lightsaber at Level Up Sabers.
There you go.
Oh, goodness. So buying through our link in the show notes helps support our show. And links for our show partners can be found in the show notes and the comment section. Guys,
Yes.
do the things. Buy the stuff.
Click
It
the
is
link.
it is the time of gift giving. Buy gifts for your friends.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Nothing could be better than wearing nerdy merch while drinking your coffee and, beating someone with something better than a stick.
Who doesn't
That's
want
exactly.
a lightsaber for Christmas?
Granzier says, and scaring us older sci-fi fans too. Well, you're probably not wrong there. Yes.
BB guns.
Go Lions. Exactly.
BB guns for
And-
Christmas are a thing of the past. It's lightsabers now.
There you go. And put the lime in the coconut. Shake it. All right. We also want to to do what the bottom of the screen says and click like and subscribe if you haven't already, please. Your subscription here on YouTube is a huge help for us. It continues to help us grow, get some amazing content each and every week for you guys to be able to check out on Friday mornings when each one of our interviews comes on. And if you want to see those interviews earlier, you can check us out on Patreon. We have 5 different levels of subscription for you, from $1 to $40. You get early access to all the interviews. You get behind-the-scenes content. And there's bonus nerd merch that you can't get anywhere else that comes free with certain levels of subscription. So check that all out on our Patreon channel. And, of course, that link is below. But, Spidey.
Hi.
Don't we have somebody else waiting for us?
Absolutely. We have the ever so talented voice artist, Andrew Morrison, in the back. So let's pull him out. Let's say hi.
Right now, I wish I was in a Spider-Man suit so I could do the thing too, because not only did I love that in the last Spider-Man movie, but in Across the Spider-Verse as well, that whole scene, I about fell out of my chair laughing.
See, that's the thing. It's not just a suit; it's a way of life.
You know what's sad is I have absolutely nothing Spider-Man at all.
You don't have a single.
I don't have a single
literally
Spider-Man.
The most popular superhero. Spider-Man is more popular than Superman.
Yeah,
I'm more of an Ant-Man guy myself, but I don't like to toot my own horn. Like to keep it casual.
Buying your own merch is a little awkward, especially when you don't get any of the royalties.
Right, they all go to the city of New York.
Well, as a dealer, you're never supposed to get high on your own supply, so there's that.
And never invest in a spider-themed restaurant.
Right.
Granzier says, I'm a coffee snob, but not that much of a coffee snob. Doesn't really care for Starbucks. And he says, new subscriber, thank you, by the way, for that. Your subscription and your comments on our channel.
Welcome.
Days.
Hello.
First-time commenter. We're glad to have you here. And, if you're a coffee snob, check out Monkey Cult Coffee. It is chef's kiss. You don't need to be a coffee snob to appreciate it. It's just very, very good. Let's see. John says, I'm still trying to financially recover from the last time Kathleen won at Starbucks.
it was not that bad.
She has no Spidey merch, but she has a Harley Quinn coffee. I get that. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's red and black, red and blue. It's kind of similar.
I thought about using the Deadpool coffee mug just because of the jokes.
That would have been probably more appropriate, honestly.
It was dirty, and I didn't feel it cleaning.
It's at least adjacent.
Same universe.
And I do actually know that Deadpool, when little kids would say he was Spider-Man, would pretend that he was Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So at least I have that much knowledge.
He also has a deep respect for Spider-Man and refuses to know the secret identity.
That's true.
Like, there was a point where Deadpool had to put on Spider-Man's costume and, blindfolded himself to take off the mask so he wouldn't know who he was.
Yeah, I gotta like that.
He's a weird dude, but you gotta respect it,
This is true.
Weird is good. We like weird.
I'm sorry, Andrew. You can see your mouth through the costume, and it's so,
Oh, this is the one.
So, Uncanny Valley Spider-Man, kind of.
See, this is the suit I wear for the ladies.
It's the Spidey lingerie. I get that. And John. There we go.
So, do your webs come out of anywhere else, or?
Oh, Jesus!
All right, we're not going to get into the multiverse of madness with that logic.
All right, Andrew, real quick, why don't you tell everybody about you and your awesome podcast, The Voiceover Coffee Shop?
Thanks. Hi, my name is Andrew Morrison, and I am a professional voice actor. I also host a podcast called The Voiceover Coffee Shop, where we sit and we have coffee, and it's not fan service. We talk about what actually goes behind the smoke and mirrors of what voice actors do. From Bob Bergen, who's voiced Porky Pig, to Bill Farmer, who's a good friend of mine, who is voiced Goofy. It's wonderful. We just sit and have coffee and talk about what voice actors actually do.
It's actually a ton of fun. I'm a subscriber to the channel. I listen to all the episodes. And frankly, even if you're not a voice actor, there's a lot of cool behind the scenes stories that they talk about and things that are happening and how they got into it and why they do what they do. And so I enjoy it. So yeah, go check them out. It's a good
and
listen.
if you'd like to see the face behind the voice actors, we also have it on YouTube.
There you go. All right. And down in the show notes down below, you'll find information about Andrew and his voiceover coffee shop. So give him a
Woo,
click
thank
there
you.
and go check them out. Highly recommended. Highly recommended.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right. So our topic for tonight, as you may have seen, we have a couple Spideys with us.
So
And we are
obviously we're talking about Darth Vader.
Exactly.
I mean,
Clearly.
clearly,
Who else would we
the
talk
most
about?
influential supervillain ever.
I mean,
It's gotta
we
be
could.
Darth Vader.
We could
totally
talk
pivot
about.
to that. Yeah.
We could talk about anything over a cup of monkey cult coffee.
There you go.
This
All
is tea
easy
time.
peasy from there.
We have tea.
That
Coffee
some
for
of us
your
can drink.
show. Yes. Some of us can drink. I can't.
Look, I'm just trying to shout out your sponsors, okay?
And
Well,
much
hey, maybe
appreciated.
Maybe we can get them on your show too. There we go.
Can I drink
There
this?
you go.
for this?
So so tonight's topic is
Yes, I
the
can.
many masks of Spider-Man. We're going to talk about Spider-Man from both an actual costume setting, but also what that costume may represent and how it affects the character of the person underneath the costume as well. So I'm actually really excited about tonight's conversation. And so let's get into it. Let's talk about the many masks of Spider-Man. So the first conversation point we have is we want to talk about how the Spider-Man, whether we're talking about Peter Parker or Miles Morales or whatever version of Spider-Man in the multiverse we're talking about, are all Spidey. They have the masks that cover their face, but it also affects the relationship. Spider-Man runs toward danger. Miles and Peter run away from danger.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's one of those very difficult things when it comes to, with great power comes great responsibility, is you have this power. You have a responsibility to protect people with it. But that also means sacrificing your personal life for it.
Right.
But then you have the whole, okay, I have a responsibility to these people to save them, but I also have a responsibility to my loved ones to save them. They don't know the person behind them. Well, sometimes they do, depending on the comic you're reading. But for the most part, it just seems like you as a person are completely abandoning them. Whereas Spider-Man, or if it's Ghost Spider with Gwen Stacy, someone saves the day, but it's never you, technically.
And see, I
Right.
think it has had, as far as like the Peter and Miles running away from danger, I think that's dual purpose there. Because one, we saw in the Holland version of Spider-Man what happened when his identity got released. It became a global crisis. And so avoiding that and avoiding the danger to go put on the suit to make sure that your family is not in danger, to make sure the people you care about, and to make sure the security of your identity is held is incredibly important to the responsibility of Spider-Man. Now, the other side of it is most of the running from danger they did was when they were first adopting themselves from being a high schooler to being the responsible person for taking care of danger. So before that point, they were always the person being bullied. They were always the person getting in trouble. They were always the person that somebody was after. And so they weren't used to being equipped with the ability to defend themselves. And so their instinct was to run from that danger and to preserve. And so I think that's where you start to see them becoming more swift with putting on the suit, more swift with having the suit on them, more adapting towards having the instinct of I'm the savior, not the victim this time.
So do you think that they keep that up later once they've adapted, because that's how everybody knows them, is as somebody who's maybe a little bit more meek, a little bit more mild, who's going to shy away from the danger?
As they've grown, they've learned to face the danger.
You see,
right, as Spidey, but in their personal, they
need to grow personally in order to be able to face danger as well, because they're used to only being their personal.
I actually have a different thought on that. You see in flashbacks before, like, Peter or Miles got their powers, they were always that person. Just because they didn't have the power doesn't mean the person was different. There are tons of flashbacks of Peter in, like, middle school standing up to people, standing up to Flash, and things like that. But this is where
true.
the many masks of Spider-Man includes the person behind the mask. Puny Parker is a mask. So when they go, oh no, Doc Ock's attacking, Peter Parker's going to run away, that's a fake version of Peter. The real person is this. When they put on the Spidey mask, that's when they are their truest self, if that makes sense.
Okay, I'll get with that simply on the basis of this past weekend. So knowing that we were going to be doing this, I sat down and I started binging all the Spider-Man movies, the live action movies. And so I went through the Tobey movies and I went through the Garfield movies, and I was getting ready to start on the Tom Holland movies. And one of the things I appreciated most, I think, about the Andrew Garfield movie is exactly what Ben just talked about. In his movie, you see him standing up to Flash. When the kid is out in the outside the school eating lunch and doesn't want to eat something, and Flash is, trying to make him eat it and being a bully and all these things, and then he calls him Eugene and gets his butt kicked for it. But he got him to stop picking on the other kid.
And see, in the three main actors that have played the live action Spider-Man, that's kind of the trend that I've noticed, is that Tobey Maguire was an amazing Spider-Man, and he was an okay Peter Parker. Andrew was an okay Spider-Man, but he was a really good he was a okay Peter Parker, but he was a really good Spider-Man, and he was really good at embracing the Spider-Man of him. And so that's what I really liked about Tom Holland, is he was a really good balance between the two, where he had that Peter Parker personality, and quippy, yet timid, yet playful, yet all these things, but he had the flexibility and the save all the different things that we know and love about Spider-Man.
Yeah, I do like. And that was one of the things I did appreciate about Andrew Garfield's version is I love, and I guess I didn't really recognize this the first time going through. And I paid a little bit more attention to it this weekend, obviously because we were going to have this discussion tonight.
Right.
But I noticed how much more I appreciated him as Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, because it was like his sarcasm went from here to up to here. And his sense of humor and the quips were just, once you put the mask on, we're just flying out.
I will always say, no matter what, unless some miraculous thing happens that there's a fourth Spider-Man and this one's even better, Andrew Garfield is always going to be my favorite because he's the only funny Spider-Man. Tobey has like 3 jokes that he says throughout the entirety of the thing. He's a very serious Spider-Man, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Tom is quirky and awkward and still trying to figure out who he is because he's a kid. Well, at least that's the character. Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, the moment he shows up, it's like, is that a knife? Oh no, my one weakness, small knives. Yeah. I'm like, that's Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man.
Well, so you laugh out loud.
You also have to understand that Tom Holland's Spider-Man was facing global problems, not city problems. Yeah. And so, of course, with bigger problems comes a new kind of humor. Andrew Garfield was good at that personal humor, but I think that's where Tom Holland shined at being an overall good which is why he made an amazing Avengers Spider-Man.
I don't think
Garfield could fit that seat.
Exactly. I have the same opinion. The way I see it is you have Tobey Maguire is the amazing... I know it's going to sound weird because Andrew Garfield's the Amazing Spider-Man. Tobey is based more on the Amazing Spider-Man. Andrew is based more on Spectacular Spider-Man, whereas Tom is the Avenging Spider-Man.
Right.
He never got a chance to be, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He started out
I think Miles
as an
Morales
Avenger.
fit the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man
Oh,
best.
absolutely.
Miles, what I loved about the Spider-Verse is it gave huge perspective on both the down home protecting my neck of the woods Spider-Man versus having to attack a multiverse of threats Spider-Man. I believe he balanced that very, very well, especially when parts of his personal life ended up becoming his work life. I think there was this beautiful.
Yeah.
Especially since I 100% agree that Miles is the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, because Miles Morales was a friendly member of the neighborhood before he even got bit. Whereas Peter was kind of like separated from it, but only Spider-Man was the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Peter did some things, but I mean, for the most part, any community interaction that happened was because of Aunt May.
Right.
Meanwhile,
his detachment was the reason Venom was able to take hold so quickly.
Exactly. Meanwhile, in the comics, when Venom goes after Miles, Venom has nothing to grab onto. Like, Venom full-on says, like, I can't really do anything to this kid. Like, there's nothing for me to latch onto. He's got a good family life. He's a member of the community. He loves being Spider-Man.
He does.
There's some, like, bad moments, but for the most part, like, there are so many arcs in Peter's run where he's like, I hate life, get rid of the mask. But then Miles, I don't think there's ever been a moment where he's, like, been that low.
He's hidden behind the mask a couple of times when things got too crazy, but he's never given up the mask.
Exactly.
He's never given up the mask nor himself.
Yeah, there's never been a scene where, like, he's walking away from the trash can with his suit in the, like, behind him. And there's never been moments where there's a run kind of right before the Ben Reilly clone arc where Peter Parker loses Aunt May. His entire life is being destroyed by the Green Goblin again. And his personal life is just gone. So he's like, screw it. I'm no longer Peter. I'm no longer Spider-Man. I'm just the Spider. And he tries to dehumanize himself. Miles has never gotten that bad, I don't think.
It's interesting that you bring that up because in each of the Tobey movies, he does, of course, pitch the suit because he's going to walk away from it, and because he's seeing the danger that he's bringing inherently into his life. In the Andrew movies, he doesn't ditch the suit, but he considers it, and he tries pushing Gwen Stacy away. Because of
he does ditch the suit. Like, he doesn't, like, throw it out, but at the end of the second movie, there's, like, a solid, almost a year where Spider-Man just disappears.
True. Yeah, I don't mean... Yeah, but he didn't throw away the suit is what I was getting at. Because you had mentioned that specifically, like, walking away.
That was a forced statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That was a global threat that if he didn't step away from the cameras for a year, then bad things were going to happen to people he loved.
So yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting, and then in comparing that to the Spider-Verse movies, because I don't have most of my knowledge is cinematic. I have very shallow knowledge of the comics. So you're over here talking about this comic and that comic. I'm like, oh, that sounds great. Okay, yeah. Let's go with that. Yeah.
Well, then let's talk about Man Spider, which is a hive
of
spiders that come together to fill a Spider-Man suit.
No, that's Spider's Man.
No,
Man Spider is what happens during the mutagenic arc of the 90s comic where Spider-Man becomes a Spider-Man. Like 6 arms, giant mandibles and venom glands and everything. You're thinking Spider's Man, where Peter Parker falls into a vat of radioactive spiders and they somehow gain his consciousness.
Yep.
It gets so weird.
It gets super weird.
Love it. Okay. All right.
I want to see a cinematic version of that.
Kathleen's just over here like, I don't know what I got myself into, but I'm listening.
Just like, yep.
I'm enjoying it, though.
This is
see, now you made me conscious of being able to see my mouth, and now I feel like I'm like the epic movie version of Spider-Man.
I mean, do you want No. You're Rec Rap.
I'm
I'm so happy. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
Okay, Tim and Kathleen, for the both of you who have no idea what we're talking about. So there was a run where Peter Parker Spider-Man gets thrown into hell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And finds a little like imp demon that is so weak and powerless and pointless that he's like, do nothing. And then this little demon imp finds Peter Parker and gets so much love and respect for him. He's like, I'm gonna be a superhero just like him.
Mm-hmm.
Goes to another demon, makes a deal, gets basically Spider-Man's superpowers, and goes from this little thing to just a massive, almost like half a Hulk, half a Spider-Man.
Yep.
But their skin looks like the Spider-Man suit, so they have like a mouth
Mm-hmm.
and teeth, and they
It's
smile,
super
and it's
weird. Yep.
there's Rec Rap.
Yep.
And Rec Rap is Parker backwards. That's it. That's the whole joke.
It's beautiful.
Not only that,
Okay.
but Spidey's webs go thwip, his go flop. So every time he shoots a web, it just goes flop, flop. He looks like a Spider-Man and a Ninja Turtle fused.
A person whose body is made of tens of thousands of little spiders makes notes for that. Oh.
Oh, great. We're going to find that in our Star Wars game.
Yeah, that's lovely. Granzier asks, what about the early 80s Spider-Man cartoon? Did you enjoy that? Yes.
Oh, that was such...
Mhm.
Well, hang on. Which one are we talking about? Every single decade, there is at least 2 or 3 Spider-Man shows going on all at once. If you're talking about Spider-Man the Animated Series, that I would say that is kind of 80s to 90s. Or are you talking about Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, where it's Spidey, what's her name? Firestar, something like that, and then Iceman all living as roommates.
Yes. And that's
Okay.
what I watched when I was a kid.
And now there's Spidey and His Amazing Friends as well, but it's tiny.
Different.
It's tiny.
Yeah. That was in
It's
that was in
Teen Titans
1981.
That
to be
version of
fair-
Spider-Man I'm familiar with because it's one of my daughter's favorite shows.
I actually really like that version. Like the newer, like, chibi 3D Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Because this is also the first time that Marvel has fully committed to Ben Grimm, the Thing, being Jewish.
Mhm.
I think there's like a Rosh Hashanah episode where they have to help Ben Grimm do something. And I thought that was great.
That is pretty cool.
It is also weird because, technically speaking, Peter Parker is also Jewish and receives a hand-drawn Hanukkah card from Ben Grimm every year.
That's cool.
You can look it up online for the Ben Grimm Hanukkah card, and he sends it out to the only, like, 3 Jewish heroes of Peter Parker, Moon Knight. Oh god, there's one more. Who am I thinking of? What was that, Mimi? Kitty Pryde. There we go. My wife bailed me out on that one.
Awesome.
Yay! So there's, despite almost all of Marvel being made by Jewish men, there are only like 4 canonically Jewish characters.
So, I mean, if I'm going to be completely honest with the current Spidey and His Amazing Friends, honestly, what like really got me about it, with my very limited knowledge of Spider-Man, was the day that my daughter was watching it, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I know that voice. As the theme song's going, I'm like, I know that. That's Fall Out Boy.
Mhm. Yep, that is 100% a thing.
Wait a second. So then I was more interested in it because Fall Out Boy got my attention. But
You'd be surprised how many like mid 2000s bands make theme songs.
oh yeah.
Like Simple Plan did What's New
What's new,
Scooby Doo.
Scooby-Doo?
Mhm. Bowling for Soup does the Phineas and Ferb theme song.
Yep, and then you got
Yep.
Fall Out Boys doing this. Oh yeah, they're
Yeah.
wonderful
So-
show.
I want to make a point about this this show in particular. Well, both of them, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and Spider-Man the animated series. So, in a shameless plug for our show, we've had the opportunity to, from Spider-Man is Amazing Friends, we've interviewed Pat Fraley, who played the gamesman. We've interviewed Bob Bergen, who was Bartow, Neil Ross, who was Cyberlad, Michael Bell, who was Doc Ock. And then, of course, Neil Ross in the animated series was the Green Goblin. So,
And Bob Bergen was also Bucky.
yes.
And we also did an interview with Beast.
Dan
Why is
from
my
Jason Bird.
from the 90s X-Men Beast? Why is my brain blanking on? Sorry, I haven't been on alive in a while, so my brain just died.
Yes, George. God.
Wait, did nobody
Uza.
nobody get Ben the script? Hold on, I think I have it.
We have the script, but it's literally just our sponsors. And then there we go. And technically
There we go. That
speaking,
guy.
the 90s X-Men were also in the 90s Spider-Man during
Yeah.
the mutagenic arc, which was so great because there was a whole episode where Spider-Man and Beast, like, they had a heart-to-heart, and then everything went to hell real quick.
All right. So let's go back to the actual topic of Spider-Man.
Why would we do that? We never stick to our topic.
We just talk about ourselves so much.
Yeah.
So
Pretty much.
I literally learned how to read through Spider-Man comics. So
Oh, that's a cool story.
There's a reason I have a lot of random information and also so in love with every iteration of the character.
John says the 90s animated Marvel shows were the original MCU, and they were great. And he's not
Oh,
wrong.
they were beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Because I did technically watch the 90s Spider-Man. It was just forever ago.
It's also funny because the 90s Spider-Man was so popular, they used it as a backdoor pilot for several other TV shows. The
Mhm.
Iron Man animated series, they were planning on doing Captain America as well, but at that point, they got their rights bought out by someone else and they couldn't do it anymore. But this is why the last season of the animated Spider-Man is just a whole bunch of random one-off episodes with other heroes.
Gotcha. Okay. John says, in an interesting coincidence, I learned to read from Batman comics.
There you go.
There you go. That's pretty cool. All right. So back to Spider-Man. The mask of humor. We look at how Spider-Man handles humor. He could be scared. He could be depressed, but he's still making jokes to deal with a bad situation.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, I think trauma makes good jokes.
Oh, it's the best source of comedy. Trauma and depression. Those are the two things you need to be funny.
It's a special form of humor.
If you can't make, dark humor is my specialty over the last about 5 years. So I was already pretty good at it, but the last 5 years have really helped just top it off.
But also, if you make the jokes, then nobody else can.
Well, there's also that.
Plus, if you think about anybody within that age bracket, I mean, industry hazards aside, when anybody within that age bracket goes to work, they enjoy like making fun out of what they do because it makes work worth doing. And so I think those quips are kind of Spider-Man's way of being like, oh, punch, blah, blah. Okay, done with work. Like, I want to have some fun here. Let's put on my beats while I'm swinging and then listen to some music and let's make some funny jokes when I go beat some dudes up.
Literally just Tom Holland Spider-Man with Thanos is just magic with a punch, magic with a kick, magic with a punch, magic again. Like, it's also when you make a joke out of it, it is like talking specifically about that scene. This is not just a world-ending Avengers level threat. This is a universe-ending catastrophe waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't make a joke about it, all that stress, all that dark, all those just we're gonna fail thoughts are gonna pop to the surface. You gotta slam those down with really terrible dad jokes the whole time, or you're not gonna be able to function.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm curious. So, because of his healing properties, do antidepressants work?
That's a good question because we know alcohol doesn't work.
Right. So,
let me correct myself.
Work,
alcohol does work, But it's like you take a shot and you are drunk, and then like 20 minutes later it's gone.
Because
And
it's
you're
super
just
adaptability,
hungover.
right? So that's why I'm saying any kind of medicine he would have to take on a consistent basis, his body would adapt to it and he wouldn't be able to use it.
It's actually not adaptability, it's metabolism. So he's just metabolizing through it. Peter Parker, when he got bit by the spider, Aunt May said that their grocery bill went up by like 5 times. Because he's just
It's also a
eating.
teenager.
That's what she attributed it to, but when he's 30 some odd years old, just downing 12 pizzas.
Michael Phelps over there.
Exactly.
Yep.
But that's a good question. I don't know if he would be able to metabolize through it, or if he'd like just get so adapted to it too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be able to.
He's Peter Parker. He doesn't have insurance. He doesn't have money for antidepressants.
Right. Well, I mean,
No, I would think if your body's going to metabolize that quickly on anything, that it's not going to be able to maintain any medicine that you're going to put in. Like Ben was saying, you'd have to be constantly taking it. So if you're supposed to, like the normal human's supposed to take it once a day, he'd probably have to take it 5-6 times a day.
You'd have to pop that
minimum?
like Tic Tacs.
Yeah, just
But also, if his metabolism's that fast, wouldn't his body's own ability to make serotonin then hopefully increase as well?
Have you not seen the movies?
No, I haven't.
Okay, never mind then. The dude is going through it literally every day. If he's not getting beat up by Doc Ock, Electro, Green Guy, like any of his villains, if Rhino is not plowing through his apartment building, then he's getting fired. His girlfriend is breaking up with him. He doesn't have money.
Doesn't one of his girlfriends get her head smashed into the pavement too?
There is no amount of serotonin that can be naturally produced that can deal with that.
That's true.
And at what point, when your body's producing that much serotonin, does it no longer have the effect of being that much serotonin?
Exactly.
Go into serotonin syndrome, and
what we actually need to do is just put like Peter Parker into a machine just to constantly suck out the serotonin from his body, because he's mass producing it, and then that's how we make more antidepressants. We just put Spider-Man in like a Bacta tank.
Oh, but it was weird when I wanted to have Deadpool be used for organ donation.
Well, that was actually
your kids and get your Spidey juice.
You would have very radioactive organs over there.
I was gonna say, because isn't there the whole one of the universes where he ends up marrying Mary Jane and then she gets cancer from radiation poisoning?
Look, that was a really weird run that I do not like talking about. Because technically, yes. But they address that in the main Marvel universe, saying that he's no longer radioactive because of that metabolism. He burned through, like, the half-life of that radioactive spider bite was so quick that within, like, an hour he was completely... like, there was nothing left of the radioactivity.
Not like Madame Curie's notebooks that they still have a timer on them. I think it's another 100 years before they can open it.
Keep them in a lead-bound thing, yeah.
But yeah, they're in they're inside lead glass, and there's a Geiger counter next to them, and
they're just waiting for it to just be like.
They are literally waiting for it to be safe so they can open it and look through it.
Wow.
Discovered so much that we literally cannot figure out.
And she's in a lead-lined coffin, like.
And you would pollute the ground with so much radioactivity.
She will be dangerous to be around for the next 150 years still.
I've been known to have that effect on people.
Which is also funny because in the comics, this is where pronunciation gets weird. It's either, depending on who you are, it's either Morlun or Morlun, one of the inheritors.
Morlun.
You go by Morlun?
Morloun. I'm mixing them together.
Okay, there you go.
Making it more complicated.
Yeah. But he's basically a multi-dimensional vampire that eats the spider totems. We're going to get real wibbly-wobbly with this right now.
Yowzer.
So the spider totems...
A little timey-wimey, okay.
Basically, you all know the concept of Spider-Verse. In almost every dimension, there is a spider that maintains the connection of the web of life. these vampires go after that. Now, the thing is, the universe will always correct itself and create a new spider totem if the original spider, like, dies.
Sounds like a buffet.
That's exactly the point. But they are, like vampires, they need to constantly feed. The 616 Spider-Man is the only one to have ever defeated Morlun because of that radioactive spider bite. So many others are by magic or crazy demon pact or just happen to do certain things, or they're just born with that. They're a mutant. With Peter Parker, when he found out that the radioactivity could hurt him, he intentionally, like, almost blew himself up by getting the equivalent of a nuclear radioactive explosion inside of himself, and then let Morlun bite him, which poisoned him, and then he had to run back to his home dimension to heal.
Stranger things have happened.
But then literally within
See
like
what you did
4
there.
hours, Aunt May showed up to say hi to Peter, and the radioactivity was gone. Like, he burns through it that quickly.
Interesting.
Actually, yeah, that was another thing that was brought up in another comic, where the power of the Hulk was transferred to Peter Parker because he's susceptible to radioactive energy, like gamma.
Okay.
There's a lot going on. But anyway,
I'm noticing. All right. So
it's almost
quick
like my
question.
entire life is built around Spider-Man.
Would not have noticed, not even a little bit. There's worse things, Ben.
The name didn't give you away.
Yeah, the name Ben Riley.
Ben Riley.
Yeah, totally didn't give it away. All right, so quick question for you: with the movie that's coming up, Madam Web, what are you guys' thoughts on that? You seen the trailers for it?
I have not.
Oh boy. I have opinions. I have
want
so many
You
opinions.
share.
We have time for opinions.
It looks like a fan movie, or it looks like a CW like TV show that they're giving a commercial for. Like, I don't want it to exist. Especially since they showed off Madam Web. The other 4 women are the other 4 Spider Women that exist throughout most of Marvel's main universe of 616.
Mm-hmm.
They make no mention of who they are at all. Like, you have no knowledge of who these people are until, like, quick split-second scenes at the end of the trailer where you're like, oh, that's Arachne. Oh, that's Spider-Woman. What? Who were these people? They didn't say any names. They didn't give any, like, nothing. And the fact that the main villain is Ezekiel. Ezekiel is the actual spider totem for Earth 616. Like, he was Spider-Man before Peter was even born. Because Ezekiel, by the time we find him in the comics, Ezekiel's like 70, something like that. Or is he like older? I actually don't even know. He's old.
Maybe that's because they're about to go into the story of the spider totems.
Well, that's the whole point of Madam Web, is she's connected to the web of life.
Mm-hmm.
She can see past, future, travel between dimensions, and helps individual spider totems. If you've seen the 90s animated series, this is where most people got introduced to the Spider-Verse and Madam Web.
Right.
Right. I remember her from the animated series.
But it's just, I have no idea what they're doing, because they're doing an offhand run that they did in the comics where Madam Web went from like this like decrepit, ancient-looking woman to suddenly she's in her 20s, and that's
right.
Fine.
That's where I was kind of lost. That's why I was asking about it, because my knowledge of Madam Web is from the animated series, and she looked like she died 3 years ago and forgot to fall over, and now it's being played by Dakota Johnson, who is much younger. And yeah, so and Granzier says we got to get the Spider-Man jingle here. Actually, if you go back to the beginning of when you watch the replay, Kathleen and I may have sang it earlier.
We did Spider-Ben at least.
We did Spider-Ben. So yeah, so there's that.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see.
I actually
totally
ended
off
up
topic.
doing
Ben needs to be Spidey in a fan film. I've legitimately forgotten that I know the guy behind the mask a few times tonight. He's not wrong. The hand motions, the way you sit there, the way you've been moving and everything. Yeah.
You're out Spider-Manning me by far, dude.
That's actually a thing I had to learn. So a lot of what we know as like interacting with people comes from our facial expressions. I don't have the automatic squinty eyes of Tom Holland, so
That's true.
adjust for that, I have to over-exaggerate everything I do. I'm also using a technique used by Andrew Garfield where I'm tilting my mask in certain ways. So if I tilt it like this one looks, by the way, this one looks a little closed, this one looks a little open, so it's almost like a squint. And if I tilt it down, it looks more aggressive, more like angry eyes. If I tilt it up, it's more open and more surprised. So that's why I'm moving around like that. You might have a little bit of issue because you got
I'm
super
very
exaggerated eyes.
I've got Wolverine going on over here.
But it's also people can see your face. You don't need to do the over-exaggerated movements. But this is another thing they do in the Spider-Verse movies is when they have the mask on, you can see them like do really exaggerated stuff. Like when Gwen meets Miguel, and she's like, "Oh, you're from another dimension? Really?"
See, I feel like I'm more
exaggerated motions.
I feel like I'm more in like the handmade suit that Tobey Maguire made before he went fighting. Like,
Bonesaw's ready.
Bonesaw, I got you in here for 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Oh god, that destroyed my throat. It normally wouldn't, but this is incredibly tight.
All right, let's hit one last topic point here, because one of them we've kind of been weaving in and out of the rest of the conversation. But let's talk about the mantle of responsibility, along with that being the weight of the world. What Spider-Man has to face, whether it's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man version or the avenging Spider-Man version. How does that mantle of responsibility affect Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Miles Morales?
It crushes him.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's Peter, Miles, Gwen, Miguel, Ben. It doesn't matter who the Spider is, because it's not just the weight of the world as Spider-Man. It's the weight of the world as the person behind the mask, too.
Right.
If you're saving the day from Doc Ock, you missed Aunt May's birthday. If you go to Mary Jane's dress rehearsal, you accidentally let Shocker rob a bank. There's no winning, and that's the weight of the world, that it's not just one world. You're juggling everything.
Right.
But no matter what, you have that responsibility.
And that's another thing that I liked about Tom Holland's Spider-Man is in parts where people had to learn not to be so reluctant. Tom Holland from the get-go was it's my job to deal with this. I'll ask questions about the consequences later.
Mm-hmm. And that's a very, young Spider-Man mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I'll deal with that in a minute. I gotta do... It's the... There was a quote that Brennan Lee Mulligan said. I don't remember where he got it, but he was like, I keep putting out these fires when I should be focusing on building a fireproof house. And he's like, and I'll get to that once I put out all these fires.
Yep.
And that's the young Spidey mentality. If instead of building a system where this won't happen, you're just going to keep stamping out the little fires that keep popping up along the way.
Okay.
Is there a system where that wouldn't happen? What would that system look like?
You actually get a lot of this in the... what's the... Big Time. Spider-Man Big Time, right before Superior Spider-Man. Peter is working for Horizon Labs and then eventually makes his own company of Parker Industries. He's giving supervillains jobs. He took out Shocker, he took out Electro by giving them jobs. So now they're not being supervillains. Now Electro and what was the name of the... I don't remember it's like a D-list supervillain that Spidey has fought 3 times. But he was about to rob a bank, and it wasn't Spidey. Like, Spider-Man didn't stop this guy. Peter Parker showed up and said, "Hey, I know who you are. You just got out of jail. No one's giving you a break. Here's my card. Show up tomorrow, and I will give you a job." Like, 2/3 of his villains ended up working for him. And that was
Okay.
great. And then everything got messed up because of Superior Spider-Man. Doc Ock took control of Parker's body. And granted, I loved the Superior Spider-Man run, but he literally undid all the things that Peter was doing to set himself up so he didn't have to stomp out little fires.
Okay.
So the key to saving the city is give the villains health insurance.
Society makes the criminal.
That's
I mean,
true.
think about it. Look at the
That's true.
stories. Like, look at Sandman.
Mhm.
He only became Sandman. Well, depending on which version you're looking at.
Right.
If we're talking about the movie with Tobey Maguire, he became Sandman to protect his daughter.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
he
was
needed
sick
money.
and he needed it. Yeah.
That was it. Meanwhile, if you look at like comics or even the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, he just wanted to be noticed. He wanted a big score so he can get the attention that he never got.
Right.
He even says when Sandman dies in the comics, he literally just turns to sand. His body can no longer hold itself together. And he says that his mom would bring him to the beach to build sandcastles so she could make drug deals and stuff. His mom never cared. The dad was out of the picture. He wanted people to care. That was it. Rhino became a villain because his wife was in trouble. Kingpin stopped being a villain because of his wife, and then his wife died, and he became an even worse villain.
Yep. His wife
This
and
is the
daughter.
thing.
He lost everything.
This is the thing I love about Spider-Man, is he's not just, I'm going to swing in and beat up the bad guy. There's another really good moment in Ben Reilly's Spider-Man. There's a villain called Carrion. He's got like acid fingers, and he can manipulate your brain and flood you with emotions that you don't want. And he's fighting Ben Reilly's Spider-Man. And this is at a point where he wasn't sure if he was a clone or not. Peter just left for Portland with MJ. Ben is like on his own, trying to not fall into deep depression. And then this enemy shows up that spikes his anger, his depression, everything. And he's about to like cave in this dude's skull and goes, wait, if I do this, nothing will change. He stops, he calms down, and he looks at Carrion and goes, something is wrong. Let me into your head. Show me what is wrong. And he like grabs his hand. His hand is burning because of the acid. The emotions are flooding through, and he realizes that Carrion, this villain, their mom just died. And he doesn't know how to process this grief.
Interesting.
So he lets it flood into Spider-Man. And he goes, hey, I've been there. I can help you. Brings him to the police, gets him in touch with a counselor, does all this stuff. That's the mantle of responsibility. You're not just the guy in bright red and blue spandex swinging around punching people. You have a power to help.
I think that's what most people think about, though, when they think about Spider-Man, is they think about the red and blue suit. They think about him swinging, on his line, on his webs. And they think about, him beating up the bad guys and saving the day in that respect. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that many people, especially if you watch the movies, I mean, there is some concern of the villain and everything, but the movies show more of the concern for the people that are in his life that he cares about. So from that aspect, from the movie's standpoint, the mantle of responsibility isn't about the bad guys. It's the mantle of responsibility is caring for his family and caring for his community and making sure that his community isn't harmed by the bad guy that he's going to beat up because he has to. So,
yeah. If you couldn't guess, I really like the character.
We're picking up on that. It's okay. That's all right. I mean, if we had a Star Wars centric episode where we were talking about all Star Wars, I'd be nerding out too. So it's all good.
Actually, even in the movies, there's moments like that. In the Tobey Maguire one, when he's talking to Doc Ock, like he's getting beat up by Doc Ock at the end of the movie, and is like, "Please, I can't stop this. You are a man of science. You need to think about the people that you care about. You need to think about how all of this happened." That is Spider-Man.
Oh, that's
Spider-Man
right.
has powers.
Right as Doc Ock, when that's all happening, Doc Ock starts yelling at his arms, listen to me, because now he's going to try and do what Spider-Man's asked him to do.
Exactly.
Right. To shut it down.
This is the thing I love, is that Spider-Man has great power. He's got the strength, he's got the sticky hands, he's got all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There is power in everybody. Everyone has the power to be Spider-Man, because it's not just the sticky hands and strength. This is where Stan Lee says anyone could wear the mask, because anyone can do the simple acts of kindness. If we're going to the Andrew Garfield movies, when that little kid is getting bullied, he picks up the wind turbine, flips it back together, and goes, "Did you build this? That's really cool. You're an amazing scientist. Here, let me walk you home." That wasn't an Avengers level threat. That wasn't a world-ending thing. But he had the power to make it better, even if it was just talking to someone. There's another run. I know we're getting close to the end of the time. There's another run,
or Tom Holland's Spider-Man, where he gave up his entire future, the love of his life, his best friends, just to make sure that the consequences of his actions wouldn't affect their futures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was not a Spidey level, like, he couldn't punch that.
Right.
Sometimes it comes down to thinking, to empathy, to caring about people. One of the most emotional and, like, just heart-wrenchingly painful things of Spider-Man comics that I can remember. There was a kid who was getting into, like, a gang. They were going through an initiation, and they couldn't go through with it because Spider-Man showed up and stopped them from, like, robbing the building.
Right.
Spidey went to the kid and went, "Hey, you are, like, 12. What are you doing?" Like, "Oh, I'm no good at school. This is all that I have in life. This is whatever." So he lets the kid run home. Stops the bad guys. The mom goes to the kid's bedroom one night and then opens the door, and in the room is the kid studying math with Spider-Man. Peter is tutoring this kid to give him a future.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst part of this whole story is how it ends. Because the people that Spidey threw into the jail get out of jail, and they blame the kid.
Yeah, of course.
Not going to go into what happens, but the ending panel is literally just Peter on top of a building, mask off, just bawling.
I don't know. I think the future of our children is an Avengers level threat.
Absolutely it is. But it doesn't take Avengers level superpowers to deal with it.
That is true.
I mean, I would go to kids' birthday parties. I used to volunteer at kids' hospitals in a really, almost that, Andrew, almost your quality suit of a Spidey suit.
What are you trying to say?
There,
huh?
It's a great suit. It's a great suit for $30. But I used to go to kids' hospitals with that, or just with anything, and just be like, "I'm Spider-Man, I'm Captain America, I'm whatever." And just seeing these kids that are having the worst time ever just light up. I'm not a doctor. I can't cure their thing. I don't have superpowers to fight whatever's going on in their lives. But when I'm at Comic-Con and a toddler runs up to me and just goes, "Spider-Man," because they look at me and go, "Yep, that is the real Spider-Man," I have that great power and that responsibility, and so does everybody else.
Right. And I think that's the major difference that differentiates Spider-Man from every other superhero. Every other superhero focuses on how can I better attack the outside threat. While Spider-Man focuses on how can I teach people to protect themselves from this threat.
This is the main difference between I'm going to help some random kid and like Tony Stark's suit of armor around the world kind of mentality.
Right.
I mean, even Captain
Agreed.
America, Captain America does amazing stuff with individual people, but he's Captain America. There is a like Grand Canyon level chasm between the every person and Captain America.
Right.
Whereas people have full on seen Spider-Man rip his suit, get thrown into a wall, accidentally spill mustard on his costume. He's a human being. That's what makes Spider-Man so great, is that they didn't leave out the humanity. Where so many heroes are either metaphorical gods or literal gods, if we're talking about Thor.
Right. No, I get it. That's good. I like it.
This is a great talk.
Yeah.
That's good. So, yeah. If you want to find out more about Ben, you just go find him on
Hi, hello.
On Hardy Healer, just Hardy_Healer, and just about every social media you'll find Ben out there. As a reminder, guys, if you haven't already, you need to sign up to win our loot. So we've got 5 of these right here to give away. Go to fsfpopcast.com/contact, and that will give you the opportunity to sign up for our email list. If you're part of our email list, we pick random emails every single month and give away stuff. This month, I've got 5 of these Blu-rays to give away. So within the next week, I'll be giving this out. So if you haven't signed up already, fsfpopcast.com/contact and sign up for our monthly loot drawings. You can't win if you haven't signed up. And Grandier says, in case I missed your outro, thank you, Kathleen, Tim, Ben, and Andrew for the live stream and dialogue. Can't wait to hear more of your past and future interviews. Cheerio. Thank you, Grandier, for sticking around. Have really enjoyed your involvement with the show the last.
Welcome to our crazy, and thank you for sticking around for the whole thing.
Exactly.
I'm very hopeful you come back to more of our just unhinged.
Oh, there's definitely unhinged.
You want to do the Tobey Maguire dance?
The amount of times that I just do everything of like the. I am not that flexible to do the hip thrusts. But
I love it.
I
love it.
I love the meme. I love the meme so much that when you drop something and quickly grab it, and you just do the and you like try and do little webs, and you're like, is it gonna do a thing?
Nice.
Every time I drop something, I quickly grab it and just.
We've got some interviews coming up in the next couple weeks. These aren't going to be aired in the next couple weeks, but these are opportunities for you as our fans and listeners. If you have questions that you want to get in for these guys, we'll do our best to try and get as many on as we can. There is Matt Lucas, who is the voice of Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars Clone Wars, the 2D version. Matt Lanter is the Clone Wars Disney and Cartoon Network version. We have Bill Farmer coming up, which is the voice of Disney's Goofy. Michael Whitwer, New York Times bestselling author and brother of Sam Whitwer. And Michael just sent us a couple of his books, and he was kind enough to autograph them as well, which was really cool.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah. And then John Billingsley, who you may know from Star Trek Enterprise as Dr. Phlox. So, yeah, we've got some really cool guests coming up. And, so just some cool things coming up. Make sure that you guys are tuned in for that. If you want to get your questions in, you can comment on our Facebook page. I have that picture up, and you guys have opportunity to comment right there on that on our Facebook page for the FSF Popcast. What happened last Friday, Kathleen?
Lots of things, probably, but you haven't to talk about the one that you've got written up.
There's one in specific that I'm waiting
There is,
for.
and it's actually really cool, and I'm really proud of it. We are all really proud of it. Last Friday, we aired our interview with Lexa Doig of shows like Andromeda, Arrow, and Stargate SG-1. Lexa tells us about her life, her work on Andromeda and Stargate SG-1, along with her desire to be a Funko Pop. And how could we forget our conversations about the cat distribution system? It's real, and it delivers, whether or not you want it, and then you end up with a feral little house goblin that decides to jump on your shower curtain and swing on it like Tarzan to attack the cat in the litter box.
That's an
You
actual
had
part
the
of
perfect
conversation.
setup, and you went with Tarzan?
Because it's more Tarzan than Spider-Man.
Fair.
Spider-Man is a little more dignified.
And I'd like to point out one of the reasons why we're so proud of this episode.
When the camera's rolling.
Yeah. This episode went live Friday morning at 12:01 a.m. Since Friday morning until now, it is now our number one viewed episode ever, which is just insane. Lexa is amazing, and we are thrilled that she came on the show. Honestly, we could have her back once a week. We have so much that we tried to squeeze into an hour of conversation with her because of how many cool things she has been a part of. Like, we only touched the surface of Stargate and Arrow and Andromeda and all that. Yeah, Lexa Doig is fantastic. Her interview is top notch. And she, by the way, there's some stuff on our Patreon from her that is just, she has a fantastic sense of humor that doesn't need to be scripted. She's just got it up there. She's very extremely quick-witted. So,
Not to mention just like incredibly nice.
yeah, super kind, like super sweet.
Anyway, so you can still find that episode of the FSF PopCast on our YouTube channel and your favorite audio podcast providers, such as Good Pods.
Woo, good pod.
And remember, your subscription to our YouTube channel is a major help, so please don't forget to absolutely demolish that subscribe button. I have to do that because I'm hoping that people will hit the like button. Also, hit like and comment, subscribe. We love it that you watch our videos. It's so nice because the more you subscribe and the more you like and comment, the more we can do this.
And
That's right.
we are so close to our 1,000 subscriber mark on our YouTube channel.
We're like right
So
there.
close.
We're like right there.
Go subscribe, guys. What are you waiting for?
Do it.
And
Yeah,
we have some sort of celebration for the 1,000 subscribers, since apparently Tim doesn't want to do a song and dance number anymore.
How about
we
this?
have we're at 962. We are 38 subscribers away from 1,000.
When we said anybody can wear the suit and anyone can be Spider-Man, part of being Spider-Man is subscribing to this podcast.
Mhm.
That's
That's
a
part
big
of that
part.
great responsibility, yeah.
That is.
Porsche.
Absolutely.
How about this? If we get to our 1,000th subscriber, I will do a completely unhinged, like, fantastical rant about the Lord of the Rings for as long as Tim will allow it to exist. This could be like a 4-hour-long episode, but it's gonna happen if we hit 1,000.
I'm down.
I'm game.
Absolutely. All right, and as a reminder, this upcoming Friday, and I'm not poo-pooing that idea, Ben. I really am game for that. I think that'd be a whole lot of fun.
Super fun.
I said poo-poo. This upcoming Friday, our guest is the amazing Kenny James, who is the longtime voice of the Koopa King, Bowser, for Nintendo video games. Of course, he was not in the movie because they got Jack Black to do it, and he was okay, I guess. But you know,
Peaches,
but we-
peaches.
Can we get Kenny James to do the Peaches song?
Actually, I would love to hear him do it. I think
That would be great.
But we talked with the Koopa King about his work on anime, because there's a ton of anime that he's involved with, which for some reason didn't show up on his IMDb register. But he's literally, if you look him up on any other voice actor type website, you will find just a hassle of anime projects that he's been involved in. And also we talked to him about the rumors of some work on some Doctor Who audio programs as well. There was a lot of cool ground that we covered with Kenny. Amazing guy. But if you don't want to wait until next Friday, you should probably check out our Patreon page probably tomorrow night. and you will find that interview, both audio and video. And we'll try and get the if we have any bonus behind the scenes clips, we'll try to get those up right away as well. But we focus on getting at least the early access stuff up as early as possible. So, but yeah, so check that out tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow night on our Patreon channel. And again, that link is at patreon.com/FSF PopCast.
I have it on good authority that it's almost done being edited.
Yeah, I think we had the same authority talk to us. So, but yeah,
probably
that guy's pretty cool. I like him.
He's aight. I think I'll keep him.
He's aight.
Our 9th anniversary is next month.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah, and my 26th is in 2 months. So there we go. Andrew, hey, remind everybody about you and where to find you and why they should talk and go hear you talk to them.
Yeah, so you can find me at the atlantavoiceover.com, or you can find my podcast at vocoffeeshop.com. I really need you guys to go find it, because while they have an editing team, I just have a cat that does all my marketing, and he's not doing a great job. So, but yeah, vocoffeeshop.com or atlantavoiceover.com.
You know, the fact that you got your cat, though, mine just, decides to sit on my keyboard.
I mean, basically, I just make sure that the keyboard that he has always on the clipboard is my podcast. So whenever he jams buttons, it'll go somewhere.
Something is happening.
That's going to be a very wonky edit, but that'd be so cool.
I've gotten really weird comments on subreddits from it.
It's somehow worse than like monkeys with typewriters.
Oh yes, because cats
somehow
are
not
judgmental than monkeys.
Somehow is and somehow not. All right, guys, that's going to wrap us up.
Leave. I want to show
yes.
the absolute ridiculousness that is this mask.
Okay.
Hang on, it's stuck.
No.
Beautiful.
You didn't see that.
I saw your beautiful one eye.
I love doing that when people are just like, "Oh, you look so cool." Thanks. Oh, it deletes the background. No.
That's really creepy.
All right. So one last thing, and then I'm gonna play the our conclusion. So when that happens, and it's happened several times during, around your head, the things go off. It looks like your Spidey sense is going off, and it's really trippy.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
wait, so are they adjustable? Can you flip them upside down?
They're magnets, so I mean, technically speaking, I can just stick it to the.
See, now it looks like Paisley.
Hi, I'm Spinderman.
Spooderman.
Spider-Man got his face rearranged.
Hold on,
I was Spooder dude.
Oh, where'd it go? Oh god.
Your Spidey sense said your eyes
Wait,
are
it's
wrong.
stuck in a closet.
And on that note, goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
On behalf of the rest of the hosts of the FSF PopCast, we want to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on a future episode, please contact us by means of Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FSF PopCast, or go to www.fsfpopcast.com and click on the contact link.